Goods from Israeli settlements that are sent to Europe must now be labelled as being produced in occupied territory. In its ruling, the European Court of Justice said the settlements violated the rules of general international humanitarian law. The move has been hailed by Palestinians, but condemned by Israelis, who are now attempting to prevent its implementation. For more, let's go over to our correspondent, Shona Murray, who is in Brussels. Morning to you, Shona. So why have the European Court of Justice decided on this ruling? And the other side of this, of course, Israel, what's their response been?
Yeah, so this actually originated in France when the French government decided to give effect to a notice from the European Commission that said that any goods from Israeli settlements in the West Bank should be labelled as distinct from goods that came from the State of Israel, because of course the EU recognises that the settlements are illegal under international humanitarian law. Now, this was contested by an Israeli wine producer which operates in the West Bank, and the French then asked the European Court of Justice for clarification. And as you said there, Rosie, the European Court of Justice said the French application was indeed correct, because under international humanitarian law, settlements are illegal, and essentially that the settlements give an expression of the transfer of populations, which is illegal under the Geneva Conventions. The Court of Justice also said that under the EU's customs code, consumers have a right to make informed decisions about the goods they're buying, and that could be environmental decisions, social decisions, health decisions, and also ethical decisions, and whether or not they want to observe international law. So that was clarified. Now, of course, various people have come out with different opinions as to the ruling. In particular, obviously, the Palestinian side welcomes it, as do many of the human rights groups, who say that the settlements are an obstacle to a lasting two-state solution. And then, of course, the Israeli government has said, and other commentators have said, that this ruling is infused with essentially anti-Semitism. And it is likely that the Israeli government will go as far as making diplomatic efforts to ensure that maybe this ruling isn't as applied as strenuously as some people would hope it would be. But there is no appeal in this case, that's for sure.
You mentioned already the desire for the consumer to have more information, but the European consumer, how will this ruling affect me? Is it the kind of goods I can buy? What labelling is going to be impacted on what type of products?
So essentially, it won't affect you in that the choice will still be there for you to buy the products. As the European Commission said yesterday, the State of Israel enjoys a very advantageous trade relationship with the European Union. The settlements is a different thing because, of course, under international law, they're deemed as illegal. The products that come from the settlements should be labelled in export when they're leaving there as coming from settlement goods, settlement areas, and they generally include agricultural goods. So in this case it was wine. It was a wine company that contested what the French were doing, but mainly fruits, vegetables, and also some skincare products. So it won't essentially affect what you can buy. It'll just give you more detail as to the origin of the goods that you're buying. So this case does not call for a boycott or call for the goods not to be allowed into the EU or EU territory, just that it will be labelled as such as settlement areas or coming from the State of Israel.